Hey there, you're back with Salty on the Rug. I've got a bit of annual leave up, so opportunity to do a couple of videos to throw out there. Look, I've got about 4 amplifiers to choose from. There's a Vox AC30 with the top boost, which is the C2 model. A wonderful little Fender Blues Junior, which is a powerhouse of an amp. It's had a few mods done to it. And a Fender Mustang GTX50, which I use in conjunction with my iPad and the Fender Tone app. That's really cool too. But my go-to amp is this guy here. It's Fender Machete 1x12 50-watt combo. It's an absolute monster. Look, they were released in about 2014, I believe. It might have been 2012, one of the two. And they had about a 4-year run of production out of Corona in the States. They didn't really get a lot of internal support, I suppose you'd say, from Fender itself. And they died a fairly illustrious death 4 years, like I said, 4 years after they first started making them. But since then, they've grown to be a bit of a collector's item, and I would recommend, if you can get your hands on one of these, do it. It's a piece of history, and it's a monster of an amp. Essentially a 2-channel amp. We also have the option of a clean boost and a 20 dB cut on the clean channel, which that effectively gives you a Fender Twin right there. And then you've got the second channel, which is a high gain channel. Was intended to take on the likes of Mesa Boogie and your EVHs, which Fender now own anyway. But it's a massive gain stage. The other two, well, one thing of note, the 3-band EQ on each of the 2 channels. They're independent, very sensitive. They have a 4th setting, independent on each of the 2 channels, called Notch. And look, I don't want to call it ISF or whatever, British, English, American. Those lines have been blurred by so many manufacturers over the years that it's not even relevant to say, oh, it's American sounding, British sounding. It's not a thing, I don't think, anymore. And it also has, and those 2 Notch selections, they're a knob, so they're sweepable. So you can get really fine adjustments in there. It is that mid-range scoop push kind of thing. And then right down the end, which is a universal setting for the amplifier, is speaker damping. And that's intended to change how tightly or loosely that speaker moves. And, depending on your attack on the instrument and what pedals you're throwing in front of it. So it gives you lots and lots of sonic options, I suppose you'd say. That's a 5-way selector. I tend to run it loose, and then right over here is tight, and normal is your midnight selection. On the back, there's heaps of outputs. You've got, and I've got my board in front of me now, you've got an effects loop. The wonderful thing about the effects loop on this, as opposed to, say, the Vox AC30, is that effects loop is switchable on or off, or engage and not engage, using the 4-button foot selector in front of me. It also has send and receive levels, so you can push your pedals harder and wind back what comes back, and play around a bit and see where you're comfortable. I tend to run mine at parity. What goes out is essentially the same signal strength that comes back in. I've really not had much to do with it. It does take gain pedals really well. I've got gain in front of the amp, of course. I've got a Keeley Oxblood and a Fender Pelt Fuzz. It loves them. I've swapped the speaker out. These ship with a Celestion G12 in the 16 ohm configuration. I've swapped it out for an Eminence Redcoat, the Wizard. You'll see the stills goes up. Why did I do that? Because I could. I just mix it up a bit, Everything's got a G12 in it these days, it seems. It's pretty hard to buy an amp that doesn't have a G12 in it off the shelf. So I thought I'd just swap it out. I basically sold the G12 for what I paid for the Eminence Wizard. So it was just a bit of entertainment for myself. What else can I tell you about the amp? Tubes 12AX7, 6 of, and 6L6s in the power stage, 2 of. I'm running JJs. I'm fairly confident that that's what it shipped with, actually, so no change there. It has been retubed, but I think they're just back to genuines. Let's have a little bit of a listen. I've got the gain at about 10 o'clock on the clean stage, and the volume, look, we're barely warming up. volume sitting at around 7:30, maybe 8 o'clock. We're just going to throw a standard player series telly at it. So there's our clean, wonderful, sparkly, beautiful Fender clean tones. Got a little bit of Fender delay in there, and the reverb, also foot switchable, is on as well. So if we have a look at that, the gain boost on the clean channel, I'll have to watch my volumes here. We may invite some uniformed persons. And our channel 1 gain boost. So that's pretty much our clean channel with some effects in line. I'm not going to play with the gains on the floor. You can buy your own gains, buy the ones you like. The second channel is a hell of a lot angrier. So again, our notch. I'll just give you an example of what that notch does before we go any further. That's all the way open. Gain out of the way. All the way closed. You can hear the difference in tone. Open him back up again. And like I said, that notch feature is available independently on both channels, but your speaker dampening is not. That's a universal setting. All right. Our angry high gain channel 2. So it's sustained for days and days and days. The gain there is at about 10 o'clock. I'll just take a bit of volume out of it and wind the gain up past midnight. Never been here before. So more gain available there than any normal human being would need, but I'm sure there's someone out there with a need. And that's really about it. A fantastic amp. If you can find one, buy one. I paid about $1,600 Australian second hand in about 2018. And as you can see, it's in pristine condition. You can see from the stills. But hey, look, thanks for watching. I might do something again in the next couple of days.